everyone. My name is Joe Brigade. I'm joined by the ghostly shadow that is Lee Mann. Say hello to the world, you Irish bastard.
What's up, buddy? I don't know what's going on with my lights today. Like, I am all washed out. I can't fix it.
Yeah, you don't look you're not looking terrible, but you look like a very you know
I
how
look great.
you know how The Office used to do those like personal shots of people, but then they use that same concept in like those Ghost Adventures sort of TV shows on Travel Channel. You look like an Irish, Scottish / Viking version of that shit.
I don't know why.
Lee, you look like a leprechaun. Wish to become a real boy. That's what I'm saying. Like he's off now. He's off now. He's trying to get adjusted. Oh, that's good. That's good. I can still see you. I can still see you in the corner. I know you're there. Don't be trying to hide now. He's flipping me off. That's not really cool. You good now?
Didn't know.
Didn't know? No. At least you're bald and put a hat on or anything. You do normally have like a little like cap thing, but you decided to go.
Dude, I don't even have my glasses today. I can't read anything.
I mean, I don't have my glasses on right now either, so I guess we're kind of even there.
Yeah, like I can't. Like, if you posted something, I wouldn't.
We were last time we were on the show together. Besides the random yelling at each other, we were talking about how Vince McMahon wanted to bring certain people up to the main roster, and there was talk about some from NXT going up roughly near SummerSlam time, and we're going into what we actually just got into July today, and next week and the weeks following, we're going to get closer to SummerSlam. Now, we had heard that around about this time, especially when they go back to live crowds, which is going to be really within the next couple weeks, if not next week, there's going to be talk about people coming up, working the shows on Raw, SmackDown. This does seem to be the case now more than ever, especially last night. In the main event of the show, we saw Bronson Reed drop his North American title to Isaiah Swerve Scott, which is probably okay to do because Swerve's probably in that position to be right where he is. But Bronson Reed is someone that we've been hearing, because he's a character type of guy that Vince wants, could be going up to SmackDown or Raw. I'd assume Raw for him, but I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. SmackDown's very likely. The fact that he dropped his championship does seem to mean that he's probably going to do that. There is also talk about Karrion Kross going up, even though he just kind of became NXT World Champion recently. Now, I'm not against Karrion Kross going up if he has a storyline and a purpose when he goes to SmackDown or Raw. I think SmackDown's the better spot for him anyway, just saying. But I'd rather him stay on NXT because I think he's just now gotten back from injury. He's back in that position we saw him at recently, in a position that we think he's probably going to be at for a long time because the man is incredibly good. Lee, what are your thoughts about these potential people going up, including the likes of Reed, Kross, and a few others? Because last time, you weren't a big fan of that.
I have been told I have to be more kind is the word I'll use. So,
I didn't say be kind. I said don't be an asshole. That is not the same thing at all.
I wasn't an asshole. I have my reservations, but if done correctly, it'll be fine.
Now, I think the reason why I'm okay with it, and this is why I'm okay with it, is not so much about Kross, because Kross is another story entirely. Because I do think he should stay in NXT.
I'm less excited about him, because they're also talking about breaking up him and Scarlett, which would be a mistake.
I don't really understand that concept at all, because they're a package deal. Number one, they are together in a relationship. This is not like it was with the likes of Sanity, where Nikki Cross was already a performer, even though her, at the time, boyfriend had gone up. It was not really a big deal because the SmackDown and NXT crew weren't that far apart. She also was so good that they needed to use her on NXT as a star on her own, and she's still doing a great job in the women's division as an asset, been a tag champion already. But the real important thing with that is she was a wrestler the entire time in Sanity. So breaking her and Sanity up, taking her away from her boyfriend at the time, now husband, not a big deal. Scarlett is not a performer in that way. We saw her in TNA. She wasn't that good of a performer as a wrestler. She's great as an actress, but that's about it.
we've seen this before, and it didn't go well.
Example.
And Lana and Rusev. For some reason, WWE, I don't know why WWE just doesn't like the idea of valets anymore. Like, I think valets are great, and I think they serve their purpose, and I don't think like they necessarily have to wrestle. I think Lana was always a better valet than she ever was in the ring. And not saying that she wasn't talented or she didn't improve, but that just wasn't where she fit. Like, she was perfect as the Ravishing Russian valet, and I think Bordeaux is the same way. Like, let people be good at what they're good at.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a problem of splitting Cross and Scarlett up if by chance there's a story where they can do that with her later on. Like, they can bring her in at some point as an asset. But
it's not necessarily the breaking up of Scarlett and Carrie, which I don't think they should. But it's I know that they're going to break them up to make her a performer, and I just don't think that's ideal for her assets. Like, what she's good at. Her and Lana both were really good at working the crowd.
Yeah, that's kind of their main goal. But the thing with Lana was that the reason why she became a valet of sorts, but really was a manager. She was a full-fledged manager, I think. I wouldn't call her a valet like Elizabeth. Elizabeth was a valet. Didn't get in the ring, didn't talk for Randy. She was there literally to look good, and that was it. Valets aren't the same as managers. Lana's a full-fledged manager. But I get what you mean by that. That being said, though, in the case of Lana, she spoke for Rusev, was a main asset to helping him out. She played a character. Although Lana's great at speaking Russian, she's fluent in the language. She's a military brat. She went around with her father, who also happened to be in the military and was stationed in Russia, so she became fluent in the language. Was also in the ballet over there, where, you know, they are kind of assholes. So Lana went through a bunch of shit. But when she came to WWE, she got injured and didn't do very well in training in that spot because of the injury. So they thought, well, we got an incredibly gorgeous woman here, is developing a good relationship with Rusev. Let's put her with him. And that was kind of how it worked. And boom, they blew up together and did a great job. So much so they brought them to the main roster together, and they did a very good job with that. The difference between that and Scarlett is Scarlett we've seen in the ring. Lana we never saw in the ring before this, so we never really knew how good she could be. We had also seen the problem with bringing Eva Marie in the ring after she completely just sucked. They gave her even a year to get better, and she still sucked. And it's not the fault of Brian Kendrick, who tried to train her, and everyone else. It's just she's not capable of being at this level. Lana, however, could get stuff done in the ring pretty well, and she could definitely get sympathy behind her as a babyface. So we've seen Lana in that way. The difference between her and Scarlett is Lana could do well in the ring even though her time in it was limited. Scarlett we've seen in the ring, we know she's not good. There's no reason to continue that.
It's irrelevant of that. Like, let's put it this way. Lana is decent in the ring, but she was world championship material. I would not say she is. My argument isn't so much about what they can or can't do in the ring is irrelevant. It's knowing someone's strengths and just leaning into those strengths and hiding their weaknesses, which is what you should do. Lana's strength was always as that managerial role. Even with Dolph, for as trash as that storyline was, like, she was really good in that role. Scarlett as well. Like, some people, they have just know what you're good at, know your strengths, lean into your strengths, hide your weaknesses, sort of thing. And WWE seems to not want to do that sometimes when it comes to the managers and valets or whatever. And I don't understand it. It's like they have this. If their name's not Paul Heyman, it doesn't seem to. Well, MVP now.
Yeah, I mean, even when Bobby Heenan was around, I mean, he rarely got in the ring. And the reason why he did get in the ring at times is because he was so good at getting hatred at the time. And back then it was still considered real. But he was so hated in the 80s and 70s, but especially when he was in the AWA, that they had to put him in the ring to get beaten up because the fans were demanding it.
Cornette.
So that's the kind of heat you want.
As much as I don't like the man, Cornette was good at that too.
Yeah, and that's something you want to see, but their limited time in the ring was there just
Right.
because of that match. So they weren't long-term performers. So Lana was made into a full-time long-term performer as an in-ring worker. And although she was fine in that spot a little bit, she was better at being the manager of someone else. And they tried to put her with Mina and all the other people, like, why not get her back to Rusev? And they did, then they took it away again.
Yep.
Especially if you recall the Bobby Lashley storyline, which was just,
I don't want to.
I was invested by the end of it because I wanted the disaster to end. And thank God MVP comes around. And MVP's doing a great job in the ring.
MVP is a national treasure at this point.
I mean, what he's done with to help Lashley get the world title levels.
You know how much of a fan I've been of MVP since like the early 2000s. Yeah, he's been great for years. Like, I always wanted him to come back, and then I saw him at the Rumble, and they were like, it's a one-off, and I was like, well, that sucks, but it's good to see them back.
Panther gear too.
Oh, it looked so good too. He crushed it.
It was great.
But then, like, of course, MVP is one of those people. You give him something, he's gonna make gold out of it.
Yeah, and I think really the connection with Lashley they had in TNA really helped out that opportunity to say, hey, I've done this before with him. We've gotten this point before in this company. How about we try it here and see what happens? And it just blew up, and fans loved it, especially because Lashley, we know, deserved better than that bullshit they gave him. Yeah.
I'm still upset they broke up the Hurt Business because that could have gone so far.
Yeah, but I think that you probably, especially with the likes of maybe Brock coming back, they probably needed to have the one-on-one thing. And I get we're different on that, but I get the idea behind why.
The thing is, like, they could have gone, like, it was the perfect setup for, like, the New Age Evolution. You had MVP as the legend, you had Bobby Lashley as the upcoming guy, then you had Shelton also as kind of that dude, and then you had Cedric, who's like the rookie.
Yeah, I get that, but it was not even the same as Evolution. It was kind of its own thing, which is what made it so good.
Well, I know that. What I'm talking about is, like, they could have
Black Evolution is something good, yeah.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, the ending of it could have elevated everybody, and it didn't.
I mean, it did elevate Cedric and Benjamin became tag champions together. Lashley still the world champion, so we've seen that.
No, you're missing. Saying when it ended, like when Evolution ended, when it imploded, it made Randy and Batista certified stars, and they could have done that with the Hurt Business as well, if they would have done it correctly. Like, elevated everyone up.
I agree with that.
So that's to me, that's the most egregious part of it ending, is that it literally buried the other two guys, essentially, just to elevate Bobby.
Yeah. That being said, though, there is also these newer factions in NXT. The Way, of course, doing a great job. We just saw the Diamond Mine debut together. That including Roddy Strong at the head of that, which is pretty cool. They got another manager we talked about. He's in that. It does seem like an opportunity for Strong to step out and to become this world champion guy he has deserved to be for a long time.
I will say, I think it's weird that they broke up a faction with Roddy just to put him in another faction.
Well, in that faction, he is the full-fledged leader of Diamond Mine. This isn't a partnership with anybody.
No, I get it. And I'm not downing it or anything like that. It was just odd to see. Like, it seems so, and I don't mean this in a negative way. Like, I think it's bad. It just seems so forced. Like, being like, oh yeah, remember Roddy Strong? Here he is. And it was like the build up versus the reveal didn't mix.
You know what the weird part about that whole thing is? Whenever the initial thing happened, when Roddy gave his notice to Regal, he and his wife were there saying, you know what, this is not for me. I can't do this anymore. Here's my resignation. His wife gets fired during the releases. He has debut the same week for Diamond Mine.
Wait, did Maria get released? I don't remember hearing her name.
Yeah, she just got in the last release. All she did, along with Brazongo and for the people too.
I didn't hear her name. I'm so mad about that one, by the way. Like, of all of the releases that I found the most egregious, Tyler Breeze is probably the most hurtful for me.
Well, honestly, I think Breeze and Dango, they were helping NXT a lot as these like enhancement type of guys who were veterans who could do what they were great in their job. But we know their contracts coming up and they just didn't want to resign. Nick, for some reason, Nick Khan, who's kind of the head of the releases and junk, has started to, he's firing people that thinking of their relationships at all, which is why Killian Dane was fired, but Nikki Cross wasn't. Why Schaefer was fired, but Roddy wasn't. The idea is he thinks if they're not making money, they should be cut. And I get that as a business, but at the same time, Breezango was making money for you. I don't know why you want to cut him, unless they weren't going to respect him.
Here's the thing, and there's a whole other aspect of Tyler Breeze that you have to think of too. He was making money for them, or helping make the money for them on Up, Down, Down, because that is WWE owned, and he's a main character.
It's owned by Xavier Woods. He's the head of that. It was
it is not. No, he has stated. No, he stated several weeks ago that he does not own it. That is WWE.
He had to have sold it then because he owned it initially.
No, he never did. I thought he did too. He never did. He never owned it. It was a WWE thing that he asked to start. And they said, "Sure, why not?"
See, my thought was he started it initially.
Mine too.
When he made it to network, he gave it up.
Dude, me too. That's what I thought. But he said, I think it may have been in the stream or something. He said like it was never mine to do anything with anyway. Like he said it was his idea, but it was all WWE.
I mean, he definitely is the one who made that thing work.
Right.
Speaking
but now,
we saw Xavier showing up as a singles performer lately.
Yes.
Although we like him as a tag guy. What do you think about Xavier as a singles act now? I mean, we've seen it with Kofi for damn years now. We know how good Big E is right now.
Woods will not be around in a year and a half.
Now, why would you say that? Because I think he would still stick around there.
No.
It makes sense.
I don't, and I say because I don't think he wants to. He has other aspirations. Like, you see how hard he's been going for the G4 gig. I think that's the realm he wants to move to.
Let's also be frank, too. He has a PhD.
Yeah.
I think a doctorate degree.
I do think his in-ring career is wrapping up.
I think he eventually is going to leave that, but I think he kind of feels
like
it's part time. Maybe he could do that. But I think that's one of the talent things for so long as we're
maybe
it's less impact on the role.
But not just that, like he just got hired recently last year as a G4 host, so he's working with that company now.
Well, I mean,
he's got his PhD.
The big repo, the big stuff they're doing now with crowds. Yeah. Hopefully, he's going to be useful for that. Like when they just did E3 recently, or they're going to do other things in Paris this year.
Well, that's what I'm saying is and if you notice that Big E's going singles, Kofi's getting a lot more singles push. Realistically, like this is the perfect time for Woodsy to just kind of zip out. At least it's setting up that way.
I wouldn't want to see Xavier leave. I think what you could do easily is just take his schedule down a little bit where he has time to work with both.
Here's the argument to that is if he wants to. But if he's wanting to pursue this G4 thing, then that's, honest to God, like as much time and effort. Hold on.
Very limited.
Hold on. As much time and effort as he has put into Up, Down, Down, as much time and effort as he put into getting the gig with G4, and as much stuff as he's done with E3 and Mortal Kombat, like he actively seeks these things out, you can tell kind of where his main passion lies. And you say that it's like I'm sure he still loves wrestling, absolutely, but if you had to sit both of these things down in front of you and say, like, I've made my money here, I've made my legacy here, this is a career with a lot less impact on my body, more time with my family, less injuries, less pain, less all of this stuff, you're probably going to go with that. So,
and I get that.
And honestly, and I will say this too, from some posts from him and Tyler Breeze, I do not think he is thrilled with the releases, especially Tyler Breeze, because he, like I said, he's a massive part of Up, Down, Down. Like a massive part. He's almost on every other. He is on as many episodes as Woodsy probably.
I don't think he's that many, but he was kind of the big rival for a long time for Woods.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But here's the thing: almost every episode that him or Tyler Breeze is in almost everything that Xavier Woods is in, because they do the GM mode. Well, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. For the last 2 years, because I watch it every day. I love Up, Down, Down. The tournaments, the left, right versus Up, Down, Down thing, the GM mode thing they've been doing for years. They're not even done with season 3 yet. So,
I mean, we can't assume that because Breeze is gone from the company, he's not going to be
Hold on. That's what I'm getting to now. Tyler Breeze said on his Twitch stream that he doesn't think legally he can appear back on it. And this is what Tyler. Right, and that's the thing is that he said, and that's a problem that if he can't be on the show, then it makes a lot of things wonky. And that comes back to what you said about Nick Khan not understanding relationships, like understanding like key players. Like, okay, yeah, Tyler Breeze wasn't on TV every week, and he was at NXT, and he wasn't on there every week, but he's doing this whole other side thing with Woods that is making a lot of money.
And here's my problem with this too. I think because of the problem with Khan not talking with other people in the company, especially Triple H for that matter, he's not understanding any of this that's going on. So I think this is why Triple H has been basically pissed with the dude. And we've heard backstage, Trips is going ape shit on these guys, which I think is why some people are going to get hired back pretty soon. I don't think we're going to be losing as many as we think. I think Breezango, for example, Breeze is one of them. I think he might be hired.
At minimum rates.
And I think that we just saw what happened with Samoa Joe too, where he basically left and came back within a week between. It was that quick. And Khan released him without talking to anybody because
Killian Dane and Wolf were two more that like just boggled my mind because they were both in the middle of the storyline.
Well, Wolf made sense because he was having to kind of wrap up his time. Killian made no sense. No. He was still doing a story involving tag team performance with Drake Maverick, former Rock.
God, could you imagine if they tried? Could you imagine if they tried to release Drake Maverick again in the next round?
I mean, they did last year.
So I'm saying.
Well, I don't know if it was a storyline last year, and it just became what it was, or if it was like they really released him and they thought, oh, we need to bring it back real quick and see.
Also, you also know my love for Drake Maverick or Rockstar Spud as he was back in the day. I remember when he posted that video, my heart was absolutely. I think I sent it to you. I was like, well, this sucks. Like, this is the worst thing in the world. Because, he seems like just such a lovely human being.
He does. I mean, I don't know him personally. I can't really.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know him personally, but I say, he seems like. And that goes, to Tyler Breeze as well, or what's his name? Matt Cartona, whatever. I think his real name is Mateus, isn't it?
Who are we talking about now?
Tyler Breeze.
Oh.
I know. I think his real name is, Mateus Clement, maybe? Matt. I know he's called Matt. That's all I really know. But from all intents and purposes, everything from up, down, down, his personal Twitch streams, and basically anything you read about the guy online, he's nothing but a sweetheart. So it kind of, it comes back to it sucks to see guys like him and Fandango and Killian and Aleister Black get released, and yet somehow, for some reason, Jackson Riker is still on the roster.
Now, to be fair to Riker, I know what he said in the tweet was kind of bullshitty, but he's been talking to people about it for a while. Yeah. He's gotten better relationship backstage, so he's not quite as bad as he was at. He also has not done anything similar to that since. There's
it's like that.
I can't get mad at him for that.
It's not even a bad thing. But we're talking about somebody who has not been used until recently. Killian Dane has been consistent. Breezango has been consistent as of late. It's more like that.
I think there's a difference in the fact that they saw an upswing with Riker, whereas they don't see an upswing with Killian. And that could be why he was cut and why Riker was allowed to stick around. I mean, he just got in a spot now. He's doing well with fans. He's getting over pretty well. You don't want to release a guy who's really just at that point. It'd be like releasing
Aleister Black? Were you about to say Aleister Black?
Yeah. But the difference in the two of them is that Aleister Black should never have been cut to begin with. But he also been around for a long time, so let's say knew something about him beforehand, whereas Riker just kind of got on that spot with Elias, cutting him immediately when he did nothing to deserve that. I don't see how that makes any sense. So in the case, we all agree Black's being cut was
I just think it's funny. Your go-to to somebody who shouldn't get released is Aleister Black, and I'm gonna say, buddy, I don't know how to tell you this, but
no. I was gonna say releasing someone who has a ton of potential, who could easily become a bigger deal for you, one of the NXT guys. But it was one of those things where I think there's a lot of other things to go on when it comes to Riker that we don't have with Dane. And I think that's probably why Khan thought to release him, but not release Riker. Now, to be fair to Riker, formerly Gunner in TNA, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He has a big, upswing about him, but he's getting older, and his time is probably going to be limited anyway. So they think they're not paying him as much as they pay other guys. I'm pretty sure they're making more money. So
I will say this about the Riker situation. Yeah, I understand that he's apologized and he said what he said, and he hadn't said anything about that since. But it does really suck that his actions kept him his actions ultimately lost two guys their job, and yet he got to keep his with Blake. And
I don't think it's the case because Riker was never going to be winning their time.
No, what I'm saying is the Forgotten Sons never even got to get a push because of the backlash. We don't know where they could have gone if that would have never happened. If they could have established themselves without Riker. It's one of those things it's not entirely his fault. It's not entirely fair to blame him fully, but it also is kind of like if this wouldn't have happened, the possibility arises that they would suffer.
There is a definite potential, and there always was with Forgotten Sons because they kind of took their jump from. If you remember Supergirl, the TV show that when they brought in the kind of like weird moment of trying to bring race and other things into it. It's kind of a political show, but they brought in one person who was an incredible actor, who, by the way, I believe played, I forget the name of it. I don't know why I can't remember the name of the character, but he was the main villain that season. And he basically had the Sons of Liberty to back him up. And that's kind of where the Forgotten Sons were. They were playing a role that was so connected to that Tea Party sort of connection that we saw with Jack Swagger years ago and other people. I think that group had potential because of the connection it had to current life. Now, to be fair, there is some backlash potential of that because the QAnon thing would be what you to get to do a little bit more too, and we don't want that to be connected to anything these days. So there is problematic issues there. But I think as long as you played that card right, you probably could do a pretty good job with that Forgotten Sons team. But Riker, I don't think ever fit with that group because it was a three-man group and it didn't make any sense for him. So I think they always meant to split him up from that group, which is why he ended up going to Elias, and the other guys never came back. And it wasn't because those guys had anything going on. I mean, they were actually on TV and were used as the wolves for Baron Corbin, and then that was dropped immediately. And they had a great plot with Corbin because the wolves that would have been great. Yeah, I think that would have been great for him.
Yeah, no, that was great.
So they never wanted to do that more.
No. I think who you're talking about from Supergirl.
The character of Supergirl, I can't remember his name. I know Sons of Liberty was the group around him, but I forget the guy's name.
Was it
the character's name?
Manchester Black?
No. It was the main villain that season, so it wasn't Manchester. It was the guy. You've seen the guy before. He's played in a bunch of shit. Like he was actually the main guy in that like a zombie video game recently that happened about a year or two ago. He also has played Darth Sidious in the voice actor role. He's an incredible actor, but I can't remember his name. Sam something I want to say, but I don't remember the guy's name. It's gonna bug me.
We'll get stuck here all day, so
it's gonna bug me. But he's a great actor. He did a great job with it, and his role is where I think the Forgotten Sons were kind of connected to as far as character-wise what they were doing. And that they were only playing a kind of real-life version, storyline version of what a real-life stuff was. So there was a lot of potential there. But that being said, moving on, we know that the Great American Bash for NXT is coming up next week, and the card is pretty stacked. Now, Lee, last year, the Bash was kind of brought in as a TV special to use during the pandemic, and everyone kind of felt it was a refreshing change of pace. It was really good. Content was made about it heavily.
I love the Great American Bash, though.
I mean, it's always a good show. No, don't get me wrong. But I think the thing about it is people last year kind of liked it more because it was a randomly good produced fact.
Here's the thing.
2 weeks of show is great.
I'll say this. I could be wrong. But for me, I was so over and slightly burnt out, even though these are televised specialty shows. I was getting burnt out about just waiting for, like, takeover whatever. Like, the takeover started getting redundant. And so when we saw them bring out In Your House, it was like, okay. Then was it Vengeance was one? And then Great American Bash
last year, and I liked them a lot.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give AEW credit here. Is like they kind of started doing it, and I think it was a really good idea because WWE started doing it afterwards, and several other people have said it too, and I think it's really good because it makes every episode feel special, not just wait for the pay-per-views. Now, okay, well, I need to watch this week, not just the pay-per-view coming forward. So I think that was a really good idea. Like AEW had what, Fight for the Fallen and God, what was the other one? Fighter Fest. Those were the first two.
Yeah, the free one, Fighter Fest. They did these shows last year, roundabout during the Sweet Spot period. So they started one, or they did randomly one in May, and they did one in July. Which shocking, it's July now. A Sweet Spot for TV and a special's coming. I don't know how that happened. And then they're going to probably do another one, in November.
Good. I hope they keep it up, man. It makes those shows so much more
great. And I think the reason why they're so good is because, number one, they're giving you a 2-hour show that's a limited commercial break period, which I think is great. And I hate these shows that are so much shit it gets annoying. It's tough. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm holding my hand up for when you're done. Go ahead.
Go.
I think the reason I love these so much, I was just while you were talking, I had the thought. It's because we have so long to wait in between pay-per-views with NXT and AEW because it's not monthly. So these special shows give us something to look forward to that isn't a pay-per-view. WWE main roster needs to adopt this. They need to go to like a pay-per-view every 2 months and then have a special.
Now, they started doing these specials really to compete with AEW and their shows, and they did a good job with their shows. But the great thing about them is they have become a specialized thing that has done a great job. But you know what's so funny about it is that when they start doing these great things for NXT, they never adopt them on the main roster because,
no.
And especially when they started doing these I think like she happened during the brand split in 2016. They started doing these picture-in-picture things during the shows, and then people stick around for them. And Raw never adopted it. Not once did Raw do it. On the same fucking network, they didn't do it.
Nope.
It blows my mind. It pisses me the hell off that you have a show that's making you money on the same damn network doing something that works, and you avoid it entirely for Raw, which is the worst show that you lose ratings on, which you need them to stick around to watch. I don't understand that philosophy, but
welcome to WWE, where nothing makes sense and no one cares.
I feel like I'm having an aneurysm.
Hold on. Well, while you're composing yourself, here's the thing. It's almost like you said that they started doing it to compete with AEW. It's almost like competition breeds innovation. It's almost like competition is good.
I'm not against competition.
The
only thing I have a problem with is watching a program that doesn't get anything out of it,
Yes, and that's the thing and that's why I love This is why I will watch AEW and NXT religiously. That is why they are the only two. No, that's not true. For recording Impact as well. But that's why SmackDown's fine, but I can watch it. And here's the thing about SmackDown.
Delay, at least.
It isn't. I'm going to say something you may agree or may not agree. I think SmackDown being good is relative. I think Roman's good. I think if you made SmackDown 3 hours, I would hate it as much as Raw. Because it does also have a lot of it. But Roman Reigns' storyline especially, and they have several good ones, but him specifically, makes Raw better than it probably is. But again, that's just my personal takeaway.
I can't really disagree heavily with that. Oh, SmackDown's a good show. I think beyond Roman is definitely.
But if you made it,
I mean,
let me ask you this: we simply stretch it to 3 hours and pull Roman out of it. Would it be watchable?
I don't want to think about that, to be honest, because Roman's the best on the show right now. I mean, Edge is great too, but still.
Well, here's the thing: Edge is great, Cesaro's great, Seth is great. It's all great, but they're just not being used entirely properly. But anyway, there's a reason that NXT and AEW and Impact now are the only 3 shows I have on my DVR. Because the rest of them, I will watch in clips. I don't need to watch the show.
I've been the same way with it, where I've gone to YouTube and watched some of the stuff that I like from Raw instead of watching Raw.
I stopped recording Raw. I stopped recording Raw because episodes before it starts deleting, and I realized like it was consistently 5 unwatched episodes, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch it. Like, I'm not gonna do that to myself. I'm not gonna put in the time.
There's torture you can just not do yourself. Yeah. Doesn't seem right.
Raw. First off, give them a shout out. I'll watch Wrestle Talk, Ollie and Luke, and them in the morning, and watch the review of Raw. And if they come across something that seems interesting, I'll go find it on YouTube. I do not have to watch Raw. SmackDown generally I will watch because it's shorter and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, and I get that too. And I'm kind of the same way with that too. By the way, we have comments here I want to get to real quick. I'm not going to get to all of them because there's a few. Jason says, Sup, Joe and Lee. Also, Chris Lentz asked, favorite memories of the Patriot. The Patriot died today. I don't know if you remember the character, not the Hulk Hogan Patriot, but the actual character of the Patriot. It's kind of a weird one that people didn't know about unless you watch.
It's obscure. I remember him, but he wasn't that he
wasn't WCW in NWA.
He was. I remember him, but to say he was imprinted on my memory is a lie.
No, I mean he was a WCW tag team champion a few times, as well as All Japan Pro Wrestling tag champion. So I mean he was mostly in that world, but he obviously the Patriot had the flag coming out with it. He has the star on his face, sort of thing. So I mean he was definitely a great character for the time, especially. Keep in mind during the time he was performing, 80s, 90s period was a kind of a weird time where you're coming out of the Cold War. And a lot of things around that were just crazy for people. So having a guy coming out just to be patriotic with kind of gave you something to kind of enjoy as an American. And you saw him wrestle foreign.
America.
Yeah, America. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it gave you something to look forward to. This is one from Jason's. Give me Nikki Cross and Alexa back together again. I'm not against bringing them together, but I don't think you have to bring them back together.
I just want Spooky Alexa to kill me.
I like the Spooky Alexa, but I don't like some of the things they've done with the character. I think they could go back.
What I'm saying is, I think it's dead at this point. I think the character's dead. I think it's been good and truly ruined over the last several months, and I think it's just best to just let her go back to Alexa.
This is one for you, Lee.
Okay. It says, I genuinely can't read.
It says that, hey, Lee, at the gym I found out I could get a personal trainer for free pretty much if I get certain memberships. So that's good. Yeah.
That's great, man. Yeah,
Jason's lost a bunch of weight, over 100 pounds he's lost.
Which is awesome. That's fantastic. I'm down.
Able to walk more, able to do a bunch of other stuff. So, man, it's great to hear.
Here's the thing. It's confusing to, like, when people ask me how much I'm down, I'm conflicted on what I need to say. Because starting in January 2020, I started dieting, trying to lose weight, and I lost 60, and gained some of it back after like the pandemic stuff because
a weird time 2020 for everybody.
Yeah, I chose the year of a pandemic and absolute lockdown to start losing weight, which was a great decision on my part.
I asked you why now, and you literally told me why not. So I just went with it, man. Like, I thought, okay, you know what? I can't because honestly, it's 2020. No one cares anymore. Let's just why not? Hey, you did get better with it somehow. I still know how you did it, but you somehow survived it.
With stubbornness, pure Irish stubbornness. That's how.
Lots of beer.
No, that's the thing.
You didn't have that either because you took that away.
Yeah, I stopped drinking. So do with that information what you will. I've been losing weight.
We know Lee. Your friends know Lee.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Well, I like full disclosure. I did have a drinking problem, so it's not the worst thing that happened to me.
It wasn't the best. It wasn't not the worst that it just stopped drinking when you did. So yeah, I'll give you that.
But anyway, like so, from January to about July, honestly, of 2020, I did really well, and I'd lost about 50 pounds. Maybe a little more. And then from there to the beginning, or from there to about the beginning of 2021, I lost a little bit more, but I gradually, by the end, I started gaining it back. And so by the end of the year, I'd lost 70 pounds. I'd gotten down to 410. By when did I start going to the personal trainer? Was it May?
It wasn't. It was a couple. I think it's been 2 months, so around about May probably makes sense. Yeah, I think in May or late April.
Maybe in April. Either way, around that time, I'd gone from 410 to 440, so I'd gained 30 pounds back. Just through life and laxing up on my diet, which I shouldn't have done. And now I start going to the personal trainer. Not only am I getting stronger and actually getting muscles and definition in my arms and my legs, especially, not so much around the gut. There's a lot hiding it. But I'm now down to 425. And for the first month and a half, I didn't lose anything, but it was because I'm building muscle.
Well, yeah, muscle anyway, so it makes sense.
And the workout I started doing is free weights. It is it's free weight. It's kind of it's a amalgamation of almost like free weight and CrossFit, which is really good, but it's not like pure CrossFit because I'm not dead yet.
Also, you've not gone to that cult-like level of CrossFit, so you're good for now.
I haven't started worshiping Seth Rollins yet, but
you're CrossFit Jesus.
Yeah, my Lord and Savior. But no, so yeah, no, it's great, man. I'm telling you, personal trainers will change your life when you have a lot of problems with like staying motivated, or for me, I didn't think it was going to help as much as it did. It gave me a reason, and it also had somebody who kept me accountable, which is what I needed more than anything. It also helps that I work out next door to my job, and my trainer has literally just opened the door to my building and been like, "Get your ass over here," and just shut the door when about his day.
Also, from what I'm told, the view you have around you isn't a bad one. That being said, Jason also mentioned that Karrion Kross eventual call-up, they want to change Nikki Cross's name. I don't think they'll change Cross's name at all. I think what they'll probably end up doing is it'll start calling her Nikki a little more instead of Nikki Cross.
No, it's Nikki Ash now. It's Nikki Ash now, Joe.
Did they start calling her Ash on TV?
It's Nikki Ash.
I don't remember that part yet.
Yeah, it stands for almost a superhero.
See, I thought they just went to the superhero character. They never gave her, like, Super Nikki is what I thought they were going with. By the way, I don't want to talk about that because I'm done with it now. I've already said my piece.
Joe, have I been good enough today? Have I been good enough?
Just say it.
I'm not even going to take Vince McMahon for this because this is like at a certain point.
Whose idea this was? To be honest, I have no idea whose idea.
Here's the thing: at a certain point, even if it's Vince McMahon's decision, there's a lot of people in that room that all did not say no. So you're all held accountable.
Yeah, you're all accountable. Yeah.
Why? Why is? How many bad ideas are being thrown around in that fucking room that this is the one that they land on?
You know what? I think there's something we need to think about too. Years ago, when Hurricane Helms had this idea to be Hurricane Helms, it was also looked at as a dumb idea. When they had Molly Holly go from being Molly Holly to Mighty Molly, it was considered a bad idea. Both worked. So I say we can give this time, but today more than ever it might work because of the fact that we've seen this thing work in the past. And it's an era where it could possibly work out. I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm on the fence about hating it because this era probably could make it work. The only problem with it is, though, is that I think you have to go to Mighty Molly level of that.
Here's the thing. It's not the gimmick that's the problem. I have all the faith in the world in Nikki Cross or Nikki Ash that she can make something work. I have all the faith in the world. And I had all the faith in the world with Molly Holly and Shane Helms back in the day. But we have to look at what was being presented then versus what is being presented now. And forgive me if my faith is a little shaky at current times.
But it seems odd that you have a blueprint to look at, and you would avoid looking at it entirely. For Mighty Mall, we have a blueprint of how good he was. There's no reason to go look at that.
Joseph, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That is ridiculous. But I need you to look at WWE as a whole right now and tell me that that's not what they're going to do. Honestly, look at me and tell me that you're not a little worried that they're going to be like, we've never done this before.
I can't. Okay. Jason says Roman is hated, heel. He's doing a good job now. I don't think he's
not hated. That's the point.
I don't think he's hated. Fans like him and his character more, but I think he's played such a good heel at this point, and they've given him guys to work with that are actually
here's the thing.
So good that they don't need to.
I'll say this. True fans will respect a good heel even if they like the wrestler. Come hell or high water, they will respect the heel. They will boo that man when he needs to be booed, but they will be secretly cheering him in his heart. When it's a bad one, or when the character doesn't fit the person, like, I don't know, 6 years of trying to shove Roman Reigns down our throat to no avail, eventually fans are going to be like, we said no enough, now we riot.
Yeah, and the thing with Roman is, Roman was, and he mentioned this in the past too, he said, well, let's make him a heel. Well, you saw this happen with John Cena. He says, if people are booing me, aren't they already a heel? No, John Cena, you're not a heel unless you're booked as a heel. Fast 9, John Cena is a heel. I'm cool with Fast 9, John Cena. But that's not the same thing at all.
You know what's so irritating? You know what's so irritating about the John Cena thing? Is like how many interviews he's done in the last year alone saying, like, man, I would have loved it. I would have been all for it. Like, man, I even had a gimmick in tights made.
He did.
And it's like,
he did. He spent $10,000 on it too. Brand new tights. Was going to drop the jorts. It's a great idea because they thought he was going to make him go heel working with The Rock. And they decided against it at the last minute, which I think is weird. And I think they could have made that. If we're going to win the last run of John Cena, that's the run I want to see. Have him go for a full year being an asshole. Just tour. Have him go WrestleMania, drop a championship, whatever. I don't care.
At this point, they need to just put us on the payroll. I'm going to once again give Wrestle Talk a bump.
To be honest, yes, we need to be on the payroll.
I love those guys, man. Like, as far as like wrestling journalism is concerned, like, YouTube wrestling journalism, the Wrestle Talk guys are top notch.
Speaking of superheroes,
but
Jason mentions, I hope to plan to see the Black Widow movie when it comes out. It does come out in theaters. I think they might be doing a Disney thing too, where you can pay like an extra plus to stay home and watch it.
Yes, but to go back to the John Cena thing real quick, Blompier, Adam Blompier actually booked Cena's last run, and he basically booked your wet dream, and it's fantastic. If they do that, I will be all for it. Anyway, now we can move on. I just wanted to get that out
there. That being said, though, we have over the years with the Black Widow stuff, it's been a year they've had this in the can and refused to deliver it until it's made theater time. Do you think it's a good idea they waited this long for that?
Do you want my honest opinions about the Black Widow movie?
If I didn't want, I wouldn't ask.
I think this particular movie is too little, too late.
Do you think it's too late for this movie?
Yes.
Like, why would you think it's too late? Like, what do you mean by that too late, though?
Why do I care about this movie? Why should I?
Well, I don't know why you should, unless you're a Black Widow fan and you want to see the Black Widow.
What stakes at the end of this movie could there be that we don't already know about, considering we've all seen Endgame? But what I'm saying is, like,
we've seen Endgame, but we don't know what will happen in the credit scene at all.
We know the fate. Is my point. Like,
no, we don't. No, we don't. We think we do, but that's why a movie's there, is to give us an end credit scene that we don't know about. This is what they do. It's Marvel.
Here's my argument, though. It's like, that may be true, and yes, but as the cards are laid on the table currently, why? My point is like, as they sit, as just a regular consumer, like, I'm trying, without saying giving spoilers, like, we know what happens at the end of Endgame. So why? Realistically, this movie should have come out before Endgame.
Well, we saw Steve Rogers go back in time to drop all the stones back and put them back in working order. If that's the case, why would her fate be allowed if by chance the stone has gone back to where it needs to go?
They already stated that it doesn't matter with her.
I mean, they also said no more.
They've said basically in no uncertain terms, you can't unring that bell. You can return the stone to its exact moment, but you can't unring the bell.
They also said no more resurrections either, and there's a TV show that goes against that right now. So,
but hold on, this is a point on that, is that if they took the stone back to that moment, it wouldn't change our timeline. All it would do is split off. So,
yeah,
like realistically, that's the part. That's what they mean by unringing that bell in the Marvel MCU as we know.
Though we are seeing in the Loki TV show how there are these.
Hold on,
as they call it.
I've only seen episode 1, so be careful.
Well, I won't reveal anything, but you do know the variant name already. I shouldn't have to tell you that part. That's literally what they called in the first TV show, the first show. I can't.
Okay, to be completely honest, Taylor and Brittany were here with their kids when I was watching. So.
That being said, I won't reveal the entire story of it. It's a great TV show. You should watch it. That being said, they're using the timekeepers for this one from Marvel. You know who they are. So I don't know why he's doing that. Like he thinks I'm going to reveal anything. In that show, we've already seen how if you wanted to change something, you could. What that could be, who knows?
I don't trust you. Anyway, I have no trust in you.
I said nothing.
That's good. But anyway, yeah. So like it's. I don't know. I'm excited for the movie because I'm excited to see Black Widow on the screen. I'm just not emotionally invested in it like I have been pretty much every other MCU property.
Yeah, and it's weird too because I completely agree with you that it feels like they could have put this before Endgame and it would make a lot more sense. And that's technically where it's placed in the timeline. But
well, it's actually placed immediately after Civil War, so before Infinity War.
So it's before Infinity and Endgame. So it is. But either way, you could have put it between those two, and I think it would work just fine because fans would have been okay with it. But I think the reason why they put it where it was, and this could be why they're doing the TV shows the way they have, is they could be leading up to something we don't know about yet, and I don't know what that could be.
Maybe.
Now the Loki TV show could very well go another way entirely.
It is Marvel, so they could just always say all these people who died were Skrulls and go about their day.
That's potentially an idea. They've done this before.
It's like I'm saying right now. It's like DC with the multiverse. It's such a cop out all the time. But I mean, I'm never upset necessarily. But it's always like, of course, it's a Skrull. All right, makes sense. Go on.
It's a timeline thing. It's something that we have to look at for a long term thing. But I can't really talk about it as much as I'd like to because you have not seen the portions of Loki. Watch it. What the hell's wrong with you? So
I'm a binge watcher, man. I've been watching iCarly.
I have not seen any of the iCarly thing. You should your Paramount password so I can go watch. No, you didn't give me that.
Okay. I'll text it to you after this.
Peacock was what you gave me. And I gave
I did. Okay. Yeah, that's right. All right, I'll send you the Peacock information. Or Paramount.
Yeah, because I want to see iCarly too.
Well, no, see, I thought I gave you my Paramount information when you were watching Bar Rescue.
No. We talked about Peacock. That's the one we exchanged because I gave you Discovery Plus.
Guess what? Guess what? Pleasant surprise for you. Bar Rescue is on Paramount Plus.
I love that show.
Me too, dude. We used to binge it. Like when we lived
on Skype time. I mean, it's Paramount now, but it was on TV like every other day. I mean, it was like.
I remember one day you walked out. You had slept in late. I was just in the living room watching a marathon. You're like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "Bar Rescue." You're like, "This sounds dumb." Like 6 hours later, we're both sitting there watching Taffer tear into people.
Dumb. I just said, "What is this about?" You said, "Oh, it's a guy who rescues barge from I think
the exact words were.
This is weird.
I basically described it as Gordon Ramsay, but with alcohol.
Yeah, and I said that doesn't seem like a good idea. I watched it, and I don't think I've stopped watching it since. It's a great show.
Well, it's because John Taffer has killed people. He used to work for the mob, but you'll never convince me otherwise.
I 100% believe he worked with the mob. That being said, let's look at other things here. Now, Jason said he's been done with Drew McIntyre for a while. I think some people have because he's been overbooked in that spot like Cena was years ago. I think they started to realize that and took him back a little bit. Although they added him to Money in the Bank, didn't they? So then maybe they're trying to overdo that. I don't know.
I will say one thing about Drew, and this is I'll give WWE credit. They didn't have much choice because it was the middle of the pandemic era. A lot of people were gone. They didn't really have anybody else at that time. But the thing at the beginning of all this was when Bobby Lashley was still in the Lana thing.
Yeah, they were just now wrapping it up and giving him MVP work with him at that time.
Bobby Lashley wasn't Bobby Lashley throughout the year. You had Randy Orton, which nobody wanted to see him get the title again. Like on Raw, you really didn't have anybody, and that's WWE's fault because they haven't established a decent roster of people who could legitimately be world champion at the time. But I think Drew McIntyre did fantastic with the shitty hand he was dealt.
Last year, he was incredible. I mean, he was over heavily at the Rumble when he eliminated Brock. He would probably have gotten a huge ovation at WrestleMania had he had a chance to do anything with that as Lee goes off the air for a minute. I think the good thing about Drew McIntyre is that in 2020, he was the MVP of that season. Now, we did see Roman come back as a heel mid-year, but Roman Reigns was not MVP of 2020. It was definitely Drew McIntyre. But they gave Drew a lot to work with for that position at times, but they decided to kind of ruin that. And then they brought Bobby in for him to be champion, and they gave him Drew to work with like almost every other damn month. And they just finally worked out a way to get Drew out of title contention by having a match happen where if he loses to Bobby, he has no more opportunities at the title while Bobby is champion. So Full Sail, he lost, and therefore they can do that what they want. So I hope we see more new opponents for Bobby. But after he works with Kofi, after he beats Kofi at Money in the Bank, I think if we can go into SummerSlam and get Brock Lesnar versus Bobby, I think that's what everyone wants. And we've now seen Brock in, a year now? So, I mean, it's time.
Well, here's the thing. I think, honest to God, Bronson Reed would be a good choice.
I don't think he would be, only because it would be a throwaway.
No, Keith Lee. But, yeah. Anyway, my thing about it is, I'm not tired of Drew McIntyre, personally. I'm tired of WWE's repetitive booking of certain people.
They've done way too much with Bobby and Drew to a point where I'm done with it.
There's no story. Even Drew with Randy, there wasn't story. Like, they don't. The only story going currently in WWE, real story, is Sami and Kevin, Reigns. Reigns.
Well, Reigns is cousins, really. I mean, that's the big story.
Like, Raw doesn't have any real stories going on other than I genuinely can't think of anything. Like, legitimate stories.
I mean, maybe the Randy and Riddle thing, that could be it. It's technically a story, I guess.
Maybe.
Riddle qualified for Money in the Bank and Randy didn't. So there is a...
Maybe. Okay, so RK Bro. Okay.
Yeah, so, and we are still seeing a story where Drew's trying to find a cop-out way to get back in the world title contention by winning Money in the Bank. He hopes to get there.
Right, but...
I think the Money in the Bank winner, though, this year, they've got a lot of guys in there that could be great champions with that. So I'm hoping we see a good run. Last year, if you recall, Otis became Money in the Bank winner, and they gave it to Miz for like a hot second. He cashes in, becomes champion.
No, it's funny. Actually, that's not true. He held it for a long time.
Well, Otis became Money in the Bank winner, but he dropped that to Miz.
He only dropped it. He dropped it a few months later. Miz had it for like 7 months.
No, he didn't have it that long. No. He won it.
He had it longer than you think.
I know it wasn't 7 damn months because Otis had it about that time before he dropped it. So
let's see. Hold on.
I know the Miz became I think it was late 2020 when he won it off of Otis. Maybe it might be a little bit than that, but I know he cashed it in on Bobby early this year. I don't know the exact time. It could be February when he cashed it in. Maybe January. I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna pull it up. You keep talking. I'll pull it up and get you the exact time frame because it was longer than we think.
Yeah, I mean, I know it wasn't 7 months though. You know, like I'm pretty sure that one. Now, I will say it's possible that he held it longer than we think he did, maybe 3 months, but I don't think it was that long. That being said, though, Miz cashing in when he did made some sense because they tried to make it to where they could work everything around to get Bobby and Drew at Mania. So we've seen Bobby and Drew since WrestleMania together, really since the beginning of the year, technically speaking. And then from there, we continued and continued and continued to a point where I'm done with this 6-month run of bullshit. We've seen it enough. I like Drew to death. Think he's great. I love Bobby. Think he's great too. But they do too many of those.
When did Miz cash in?
I want to say February when he cashed in. Because they had to take it off of. Oh yeah, it happened at the Chamber, so it had to have been February. That's when they did it. So late February was when he cashed in.
So February.
Then Bobby took it off in maybe early March, because I think it was first week of March. Maybe he did it. Maybe been late February, but I'm pretty sure.
How long do you think he had the case, Miz?
I'm saying maybe 3 months.
Oh my God, we split the difference. It was 5 months. I said 7. You said 3. He had it for 5.
So when did he win it? Was it
October, Hell in a Cell.
See, I thought he won it at Survivor Series or maybe TLC or something.
See, I was thinking he won it in September, or July, or September.
Yeah, I knew that Otis was champ. Oh, I'm sorry, but
or August. I mean,
wow. By the way, speaking of Otis, they turned the corner with Otis a lot, giving him Chad Gable to work with a little bit, starting to kind of see where Otis could be as a singles worker again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure about it, but it does seem like a better version of him as a heel monster character.
Yeah.
It's new. It's weird. But these two are both, by the way, Otis, as big as he is, was a great heavyweight wrestler.
Oh, he's built.
And qualified for the Olympics at one point. Chad Gable was on the team.
People think he's out of shape, and I'm like, no, that's pure muscle.
Everything about Otis is just big, muscular dude.
He's Kingpin. He's Kingpin.
Perfect. Yeah. I don't know when he's not wearing a suit yet, but yeah.
That's all it is. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Gable has been heel for too long, and it just has never worked.
Gable is a great heel as long as he gets mic time. But making him a random throwaway thing where he's not doing anything but being a tag.
You mean back when he was Shorty G?
Shorty G was technically a babyface, I guess, but sort of not.
It was stupid.
It was dumb. That being said, Jason says, I'm thinking this is Roman's longest title reign. Yes, actually, it's the longest reign he's had because it actually has this one reign is longer than all of his world's other title reigns combined. Every one of them.
And he's number 2 now, I think, behind Brock for like modern title reigns. Am I right?
No. Not even close.
Sure.
He's gonna be champion for a year after SummerSlam, so he's getting near a year, but he's not even a year yet. And Brock was champion, though he did not defend the title.
Never mind. I'm thinking Universal Championships. Because
this is the WWE title. He's holding the Universal, I believe.
Yeah,
but
he's the second
title has been.
He's the second longest reigning Universal Champion.
Yeah, I think he should be around about that spot now. Yeah, because Brock had held it for what I think 600 days or whatever. But he was not around for most of that time either. So
yeah.
And he did not beat Asuka's reign time, by the way.
No, I know.
That's the cool thing about this. Asuka actually held her women's title longer than Brock held his Universal. And she's there to defend it all the time, too. So I think that's a bigger deal. I even think Punk's 4-3-4 reign was more impressive, to be honest.
Well, because he was there every week.
That's my personal thought pattern behind that. But, that being said, I think that's about all we had. Let me look at the news thing real quick before we go, so we'll have that to just mention off real quick. Let's see. Here we go. B. Presley debuted as a member of the roster for WWE. B. Presley, as some might know, was on the independent scene for a long time, doing great work there. She was just signed.
When?
Bae Presley, she just got signed recently.
You said she debuted?
Yeah, I think she might have been debuting for UK. NXT UK.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, I didn't watch NXT UK, but from what I can tell,
do you remember why she got let go from AEW? Wasn't it like travel restrictions or something?
I think she wasn't even there really for a long. It's like almost a weird thing where she was there for half a minute and gone. She was, I think, married to Darby Allin at one point. They divorced, and
her and Sadie not Sadie Gibbs. Yeah, it was Sadie Gibbs. Her and Sadie Gibbs both got released. I think it was because of travel restrictions during the pandemic.
That could be. That's probably why she's with the UK brand, because that's an easier place to work at.
Kylie,
right now.
I know Kylie Ray is with NWA now, so she's out of.
Which is weird because at one point she was at Impact. She wasn't working with AEW for a hot minute.
Like,
now, I think NWA needs her.
Here's the thing. I love Kylie Ray. I'm a huge fan of hers, and realistically, like, I can without doubt 100% say, like, focus on your mental health before your job. Absolutely. Like, if it was that stressful on her, then I think she did the right thing by walking away when she did. Good on her for having the balls to do so.
I'm with you on that. I think that a lot of people look differently, though. So, some people just don't like the fact that.
My question is like, that's two companies now that she's kind of gotten out of that way, which.
Yeah.
My thing is, like, I don't think she's wrong for doing it, but I am afraid it will hinder her in the future.
She debuted with NXT UK under the name Blair Davenport, but we've seen her as Bae Priestley during the.
I hate that.
During the Mae Young Classic, so we've seen her debut.
Yeah, I knew that. I hate that name.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. At one point, it was.
It sounds like somebody was like, "Hey, give me some names that sound British."
Well, it could be that she had. This is what happens a lot of times. I was told about this by Summer Rae, who's a friend of mine, Dana Monet. She was asked at one point in time, like, to throw some names out there, and both first and last names. And so Summer was one of them she threw out there, and then she was trying to find a good last name for it. And I thought, I told her, think of something that kind of works well with Summer, because they like the name Summer. And she says, well, I'm not sure. Summer Sun, Summer Rae, because Summer Rae's come down. And I'm like, let's try that one then. And so she did the RAI version instead of the RAY version, which we had thought initially. And that's how she came up with the name. And they do it a lot with wrestlers like that, where they just kind of give them they ask for a list of names, they give them they like, and then they kind of smash them together. NXT is different from that. NXT sometimes uses mostly independent names. Yeah. So Bae, if she would have debuted on NXT America, she probably would have gone by that there. But
right, which is weird, but I don't. Whatever. Like, I'm glad she's somewhere. I like Bea Priestley.
She's great. I think she's gonna help. I think that it might be a big deal to have her there now for NXT UK because they started to lose a little bit of that. They saw Piper Niven taken from there. Now she's on the main roster.
Speaking of,
I think this is a good idea, and I'll tell you why.
No,
you're going with this.
No, you don't. You don't know where I'm going with this.
Okay, I'm sorry. You say your piece.
You have no idea where I'm going with this. I have no problem with what she's doing. The fuck is that name they've given her?
That's where I was going with it, buddy. That's one. Here's what I'm saying. This is a big deal to me because I think we have to look at this from a story perspective, and I know you're not going to like this, but follow me.
No,
Ava Marie has almost refused to get in the ring, but is taking credit for all of Piper's accomplishments. Piper Niven is her name. She's known as Viper, by the way, on the indie circuit.
I like her. She's great.
So Piper's a name that you go with. But during the time when they were asking, hey, who is this Ava? She's about to say Piper. Ava stopped her and says, no, you're Dewdrop. Now, looking at Piper's face, she wasn't happy with it. Here's an important point there. She knows it sucks. And WWE is telling you the fact that it sucks. That Ava came up with it is a bad idea. Eventually, that will not be her name. But for now, it has to be for the story with Ava. You're not going to like it. She's better than that. But she will not be that.
Listen, that's all fine. And if that's true.
Stories are important to tell on a level.
Yes. If I'll tell you right now, if you're right, I will admit it live on the show the following week. I will tell you that you are 100% right. I will. Absolutely. I'll give you all the praise in the world. You just have more faith in WWE Creative than I do.
Well, the reason I say that, it wasn't because of the idea of saying, oh, well, they didn't do anything about that at all. The reason why it works and the way I mentioned it was because we saw how they used it.
But yes, and Joe, you're right. But we also got Shorty G, man. And I'm sorry if I just don't like. I mean, I hear you. I hear you. But also,
he debuted his own name out as a big deal. Like he's the one who came up with it. That's what
I know.
There's a difference there because Doudrop in this case was pushed out by Ava as a bullshit tactic that Piper doesn't like visually.
Right. No, I know. But again, I'm saying WWE creative have forgotten storylines in the past and things have stuck, unfortunately. I hope you're right. I think you're right.
Not names, though. Just random story drops over there.
Here's what I'll say. I think you're right. I hope you're right. I will wait and see.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've been hurt too many times, Joe. I've been hurt too much.
Though, Lee, I will think it's very important to mention the fact that Want to Be Famous by followers, prime of views on BigFellas.com.
Oh, man. Thanks, jackass.
Because we needed that.
Twitch, man. What are you gonna do?
I don't get what. Our Twitch comments are always weirder, man.
Yeah, they are. They're really weird.
That being said, though, did you want to mention anything before we go?
Huh?
Did you want to mention anything before we go? Because it's almost time. It's time to go.
No, yeah, it's time to go. I got stuff to do. I'm like high as hell. I'm not, but I look tired.
What the fuck, man? I don't.
I was just gonna say sorry for the erratic shows the past few weeks. I'm hoping that that's going to stop. But
well, it was my fault last week, though. It was my fault last week.
Well, yeah, but
I had a good reason. Very good reason.
He had 75% of a good reason.
I'll take it.
I haven't heard the whole story, so I can't give you 100 yet.
I'll tell you off the air. Is that good?
But anyway, we're hopefully this is
going to be... Look at timing with that. Like you're like let's watch back on replay with that. That was perfect timing. And we're in two different locations. I think that's pretty good.
In an effort to make you feel old, we are approaching our 15 years of friendship.
What?
Mm-hmm.
You're not my friend, though.
I'm sorry. Recreational associates.
No. Acquaintances. Recreational acquaintances. I made you. Oh no, that's right. I upgraded you to associate. You're acquaintance for a long time, and then now you're a recreational associate. One of my best recreational associates, though, it's a very good job to have.
Yeah.
It's not really the highest paying thing, but
holy shit, is it a job?
Trust me, I get far less out of this than you. But there was there's also other positions to get to eventually. I don't know exactly which one you'll be at in the future, but there's also room to grow. So it's an interesting situation.
How long until I hit Grand Poobah?
That's going to be some time. The reason why I say that is that, if you were to be like a godfather for a future child at some point, maybe you become Poobah. But
that's unfair considering you understand my stance. That is incredibly unfair.
But it's the only thing you'll get to.
I feel like you're automatically setting me up for failure.
I mean, you don't know if I'm going to end up having children.
Oh, I thought you said I have to name you the godfather of my kids.
No, I said you'll be the godfather of mine, and that's when you become Poobah.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Grandpa.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, like,
first off. Fair. Oh, you thought it was reverse order too, didn't you? Oh, damn. Yeah. I see your point. Yeah, that was the point. Yeah,
I was like, that's just setting me up for failure, and that is completely unfair.
Though if something randomly happens, like you randomly knock someone up out of nowhere that you found in some gutter somewhere, then at least I should be the godfather of that child. That's all I'm saying.
I'll tell you right now, if I ever do have a kid, God intended it because it wasn't my idea.
So you're saying there's going to be like a Mary Madeline situation with that?
It's going to have to be.
No,
Mother Mary?
You've seen those like that Family Guy thing happen before where it goes, this is worse than Joseph and Mary's wedding night, and then has Joseph in the getting And Joseph's in there like, "Are you guys almost done? We're done. What do you think? We're done with it. Done." Like that's like that. Yeah, that's a little bit much, guys. Like on the honeymoon. I mean, I'm thinking what ended up happening is Mary got knocked up by some random dude, found the nearest older dude she could find, and said, "You know what? Hey."
Sorry, there was a disconnect. I think I don't know what happened. I think we're getting a little too into the weeds, and the Lord himself smited down this particular stream.
And that's how Jesus was born. I think that's a great excuse as to how things happen. In fact, I think I just gave you the entire theory of life in that last couple minutes. I'm not sure if it did, but I'm pretty positive it did.
Yeah, we heard every last word of it.
Good, because it was a long story. I think I'll never repeat it in life ever again.
It's probably the best.
It was tough to get through.
Well, I've got to get going. It's late.
What? So what did we get to? Anyway, guys, we're done for today. I wanted to see where you go with it, man. You gave me a free mic, and I thought, why not? Let's see where this goes. That being said, we're done for today. See you guys next time. Bye.
Y'all have a good one. We'll talk to y'all next time.